So none of you have done this kind of language before. And you are the first year, you're year 7. And I'm going to throw you in at the deep end. And it's for 2 reasons. And I'm going to put this over here. One, it is tough. It is tough because it is new. And you've got to develop something. And what you've got to develop is something called resilience. Or if you want a better word for it, grit. All right. This is not something that is... Let me get my typing right. This is not something that is really taught in primary schools. Not all of them. The ones I've seen I do get seconded into primary schools, and sometimes I have to go in and oversee the maths and science within the primary school. And what I know is there's no hope. You're not supposed to be on Miro right now. You watch, I record. After I've done the recording, then you come onto Miro. Right, so this is going to be tough. And most people will give up on this. And I'm not talking about your age, I'm talking about adults. They will start something in science and they will find the language too difficult and they'll stop. And the problem with all language, you have to attempt to learn it. And that takes grit. You will feel lost, you will feel confused. You'll want to say, what do I do? And I'll turn around and say, read the work again. Because this is all about language. It's all about the words that are very specific in science and biology. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to be looking, and the topic we're going to be looking at is level of organizations. Level of organization within organisms, and that includes you. And we're actually going to look at humans because, well, there you are. I'm not going to start with microscopic organisms. You've barely seen any unless it's on a picture. And I'm not going to start with some really interesting organisms because you're not familiar with them. So we're going to start with humans. All right. So what you can see here is, and now you'll look at words, you think, oh my God, what does that mean? So, and this is the first word that we're going to be looking at that we expect you to understand is hierarchy of organization. And then you have this word hierarchy thrown in. This isn't even biology yet. I've told you nothing. And we're starting with a really tough word, hierarchy. Hierarchy really means we're going to put it in order of importance or in order of complexity. We're going to put something in order. And we're going to leave that in that. What order do we put things in? And we're going to actually work backwards, right? And I look at things that are produced for you guys and I look at the best way to use them. And I'm going to start off with your heart. Right, so in the levels of organization, when you look at your heart, it is made up of cells. The smallest thing, I'm looking for a picture if I can find it, should be here somewhere. Now the pictures aren't very good, so I'm going to make it up. I'm going to go along. So your heart is made up of cardiac tissue, muscle. Actually, it is made up of a type of cell called a muscle cell. All right. This is one cell, and it's a muscle cell. This is the simplest. So in the hierarchy of things, this is the simplest level of organization we look at. It is made of a muscle cell. Okay. That muscle cell is then made of muscle tissue. So what you have now is right at the start, you have a single cell. A single cell. Now, I'm going to add something to this, but right now I'm not. We have a single cell. Now, when you have a group, a collection of cells of the same type, so if you have cells of the same, I'm going to put that, same type, and you have to forgive my typing. Wow, excuse me. Cells of the same type. All right. I do not want to add that to the dictionary, that's my typing. When you have cells of the same type and you have more than one cell, this is called a tissue. And as you can see, we're getting more and more complex. And as a diagram, here you go. These are lots of muscle cells together. This is muscle tissue. We're going to ignore the skeletal, it's not skeletal. But we're going to ignore that because I'm stealing pictures. So you have a single muscle cell. A collection of cells is called a tissue. So when you have different tissues, this is called an organ. Okay. So in the heart, you have connective tissue, you have contract muscle tissue, you have different tissues. And if you've got different tissues, that makes up an organ. If you have lots of organs, so more than one organ doing a job, more than one organ, this is called an organ system. Oopsie daisy, my type is terrible. Now, let's get rid of that. So more than one organ makes an organ system. And right at the top, so you have lots of organ systems. Or I should say the total of your organs systems. All the organ systems together make up an organism. And that will be us. Organism. Okay. So all the organs, all the organ systems together make an organism. And you've got to know these differences. And I'm going to talk you through them. So we start with cells, tissues, organs, organ system, and right at the top, a fully functional organism. Now, we can look at different parts of it. All right. So the heart isn't just made out of cardiac muscle. It's made up, it has blood vessels around it, and you can see it. So we can start from the bottom, a cell, a red blood cell. That is a type of cell. Put these cells together, you have a blood vessel, then you have an organ, then you have an organ system, and then you have an organism. So I'm going to pick the ones here. All right. So this is the lungs, and I'm looking at the lungs because you're going to see some really interesting words. One of the cells present is a ciliated epithelium cell. Epithelium means around. You have epithelium cells around the inside of something. This is around the inside of the lungs. Ciliated means those tiny hairs. You don't need to know that today. You just need to know the names. So the cell type, and you know it's a cell because the name ends with cell. The cell it is made of is a ciliated epithelium cell. Lots of them is a tissue called a ciliated epithelium. Put different tissues together, you get the lungs, which is an organ. These are part of your breathing or respiratory system. Okay? So that's your mouth, your nose, into your windpipe, which is called your trachea, into your lungs. Your ribs help you breathe. This is an organ system, and your lungs are part of it. Okay? All right, we've got a reproductive system. This is female. You have an egg, an ovum, that's a single cell. It makes a tissue, called the ovarian follicle, and it makes a gland. Same with the males. You have a sperm cell. They are made in a special tissue called the germinal epithelium, and the organ is the testes. These both make up the reproductive system. Okay? So both of them make up the reproductive system. Now here's a funny one. Small intestine. You have ciliated epithelial cells. Oh, some people haven't got in yet. Let's get them in. All right. So let's get back to recording, shall we? Here you have ciliated epithelial cells again. They line the inside of your small intestine. They're ciliated because they have hairs. The organ they are part of is a small intestine, and these make up the digestive system. All right, next one, muscles. All right, now this is a different type of muscle, but again, these are made up of muscle cells. More than one muscle cell is muscle tissue, and this is skeletal, it's on your bones. It makes up an organ called your muscle, and this is part of your musculoskeletal system. So all these words are things you need to get used to. All right, your skin is the largest organ. You have skin cells. A collection of them down here is a tissue. All of them together make up an organ called your skin. All right, and believe it or not, this is part of your immune system. The skin defends you. It stops bacteria getting inside and dirt getting inside. Okay, so keywords. Cell, right? So I'm going to put these in order. They're not put in order there. So we're going to actually delete this one. That's not in order. So these are the keywords you need to use. Cell, it is the unit of a living organism, contains all the little bits that are alive. All right? So the unit of a living organism. It is the smallest part of you that exists. All right? Even that's not in order. Oh my God. Right, I'm going to do it. Let's get it from here. Now, cell, the unit of living organisms. Organ system. Oh, someone just left a message. Because you are in year 7. And I'm now recording, so at the time that I'm recording, we cannot have a discussion because it'll interfere with the recording that I'm doing. So, an organ system, lots of different organs working together to carry out a job. Tissue, a group of cells of one type. An organ, a group of different tissues working together to carry out a job. That's one I don't like. Okay. So, and there's a lot I'm throwing at you. We're going to leave this last part. Okay, that's a bit too much. All right, so in today's work, what you have to do is answer these questions. All the answers to these questions are in the text, and I'll put a recording on here of the introduction to this lesson. And you have to find the words. So in this, you have to understand the question, all right? You must underline your key words. So what I mean by that is, use the presentation, the things we've done, to complete the boxes with a correct organ system and examples of tissue and cell types associated with each organ. Carefully. All right. Now, that's what you're going to do. For everyone who joined late, I will